The postponed meeting for the BSD for February 11th. First item on the agenda, let's see, we have no presentation, task list from last meeting.
Yep, I was reviewing the task list from the December and January meetings. Mostly what was on there were tasks associated with preparation for presentation. If I might say, Ken, first of all, we do have a brochure that we're going to give out tonight that's available for people on the Bennington FY15 budget. And I was on the radio this afternoon with Rob on News and Views for a whole hour talking about the Bennington budget. Ken and Rick were on last Tuesday for an hour. And this past Monday was a repeat of a week ago Monday with the principals and myself and Mike Harrington on the budget. So all of those programs have been running frequently. We'll talk later in the agenda about some other things, but on the task list was the invitation for the parent group that was active last year in helping us get information out. Chris Murphy, Brad DeBoer, and Amy Dobson were all contacted to come during public comment. Actually, Brad and Chris were planning to come on the first Wednesday of the month, but the snowstorm, of course, we canceled that meeting. They were not able to be here tonight, but I'll make sure they have a session with Rick to go over the financials and have these brochures to give out. But they are interested in.
Chris has put some stuff on the web, on the Facebook page.
Facebook? Oh, good. So I'll make sure I email him this then. So I'm going to put that on the task list for tonight to email him the brochure. And then, just so you are aware, it's not on the task list, but I did want to let you know that I have postponed, rescheduled our item number 7, which is A and B, regular education and special education. I have postponed that to the March meeting. It says March or April. I think it's going to be at the March meeting, and I'll explain why later in the agenda. But the reason it's not tonight is because we had to reschedule our meeting. All of those teachers and guidance counselors that had planned to come are not able to come tonight because many of them are at a conference on universal design, which is to make sure that all of our activities and assessments and instruction are accessible to all students. So that's why we're postponing it. They weren't available to come, and just to reschedule it for March.
Okay, thank you. Now we have citizens' comments.
Oh. Hi. Did you want to say anything about assisting or helping or?
I don't.
Okay.
Are those the agendas up there? Okay.
I'm sorry, I'll get one. Yes, agenda's there, and excuse me. I have one here, Claude. And these are the brochures that are ready to be.
We don't even have anybody taking minutes.
He's going to use the,
Okay.
Mr. Bump said he was going to use the record.
Okay.
He sent it to him, matter of fact, I think he
Yeah,
told me.
we get it.
He
We
was
get it.
hoping that
I
would
wasn't
have
aware of
keep-
it, but I'll be sure to have the stuff ready for Richard.
Okay,
Thank you, Dan.
thank you.
I was wondering in what ways the board plans on publicizing the budget, the proposed budget, this time around.
You just miscast.
And I may have missed the entire
Yeah,
thing,
that's
and
all
I
right.
apologize for
I can
that.
repeat it because it's worth repeating so that people will be aware and look for some of these broadcasts to be shown again or aired again. So we had already a week ago Monday, the principals and Mike Harrington and myself on WBTN for a half hour on SVSU The View. It was replayed this past Monday. And then last week on Tuesday, Rick Pembroke and Ken were on News and Views on WBTN with Rob Hebert and went over all of the budget and had a good interchange. That's been playing repetitively on WBTN. Today, I was on that show, News and Views, with Rob about the BSD budget specifically. We also gave last evening, and it is under Chair's report, but last evening we did a joint presentation with the town. First time in anyone's memory that it has been done. And that really spoke about not only the BSD budget, but MAU, CDC, and how the SU budgets connect to those budgets. And when we get down to that point, Ken and I will probably share, or we can move it up on the agenda and do that now if you want.
If you want.
Ken, do you want to give a little intro to that presentation?
Yeah, I thought it went well. Someone was telling me that the reception wasn't that great on the television, and the visuals on the screen didn't come out as well as they should, but I'd like to thank Rick and Alice and the central office staff that worked with him, Catherine, central office administrators, Mrs. Hewlett, who I guess put most of the PowerPoint together, not the data, but the PowerPoint together, and our town fathers, Stu Hurd and Joe Krosick and the rest of the selectmen, for giving us the chance to present along with them our budgets, and I think they probably get more viewers than we do, and it's live, and I think that's important. And if I understand right, are these archived, these shows, so that
Yes.
people can access them on computers and things?
Yeah.
On the
Okay.
CAT TV website.
Okay, so if you don't know the site, you go on Google, type in CAT TV, and they'll give you the site, and you can search
Our website is catamountaccess.com.
Catamount.
Catamountaccess.com.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, so, and WBTN is also archiving all the shows that you did, I did, Rick, and so forth. And people, if they miss those and they want to get more information, can access those as well.
There are actually three things that are new in the presentation of the budget this year. One is this unified approach of presenting with the town. I think what you'll find too, we're missing a few board members here, but you find a unity among these board members for what they're proposing out in the public, as well as that presentation with the town, so that it's a united view in what's being presented to the voters. The other thing we're trying to do is educate voters on the complex formula of state funding of education, and it's difficult. I even have people today asking me a lot of questions about last night's presentation. So we may actually contact CAT TV and see if we can get perhaps a show where we can put some more, or repeat, the illustrations that we had on state funding on CAT TV. So that's something I'm going to add to the task list, but that came up today at the radio show. The other thing we're trying to do is educate people on the ballot, because these articles that pertain to these budgets make people think that they're adding up all the money in each of those three articles, and it's a total that Bennington has to raise, when in fact it isn't. There are three articles. The first is the Bennington School District article. That's about $13 million, and that is actually what people are raising and voting for in Bennington. The second article is in the Mount Anthony article. It's about $26 million, but only a portion of that, I believe it's 17, find my notes, million is what Bennington is responsible for. And then the third article is CDC, which is the Southwest Technical Center budget, and that's about $3 million, and Bennington's only responsible for raising $1.6 million of that. And there's no information on the ballot of the MAU and CDC to say, Bennington, this is your portion. So that's been confusing for people, so we're trying to educate them that the total for Bennington is $31 million roughly, and not the addition of all three of those articles, which would be well above that.
Catherine, do you know why the budget question, the ballot questions are formulated that way?
Yes, it's because MAU is now a taxing agency of itself. I think in 2009, is that right, Jackie and Ken? It became a taxing entity itself. So it has to show its full amount and get voted on for that taxing entity in all of the towns.
Do you know, though, why the additional information isn't also included in the ballot question? To say, Article C, for instance, have all the wording that's there as it stands, but then perhaps parenthetically add, the
Yeah,
Bennington
it's a
breakdown
good
is this, the
question.
Pownell breakdown is this.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, I think you're absolutely right. There's the confusion fostered by the way the ballot question itself is phrased. And perhaps some of that confusion could be alleviated in future school budget votes if that change was made.
Yes, we won't be able to change it, as you said, for this year, but I will consult with our attorney and see whether it's permissible to embed in parentheses. I think not, because I think the ballot article has to be the same in each town. That's why we're trying to get these information sheets out, but I will ask him, but I think
Well-
not.
I'm not trying to disagree with you, but each town has a different budget. I mean, Pownell's gonna have a ballot and it's gonna say Pownell Elementary, will the voters of Pownell allocate such and such for the operation of Pownell Elementary? And then it's gonna say the
MAU.
26 million for MAU, and I'm not sure. We have to check with the
Yeah,
lawyers,
we'll
and then we
check.
might be able to put a little
Explanation.
explanation underneath.
Yeah, we'll have to see, because the MAU is a taxing entity of itself, so that everybody's voting on its total budget for everybody, because all of the students of the SU go to
Sure.
Yeah.
Mount Anthony. So that's the
Yeah.
piece we'll have to check.
Be nice if it could actually say, this is what it's costing.
Up to 26 million, Bennington's paying 17 of that 26.
Yeah, and it equals such and such a percent.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, just a follow-up question. Since there does seem to be unanimity amongst the board members for this budget, can we expect to see perhaps more letters to the Bennington banner from board members or from the collective board speaking in favor of the budget? There was, last summer there were some members who were speaking in favor of it, some members who were silent. And I wonder if we could see a greater unity by the board in publicizing its support for the budget.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item is the financial report. Did everybody receive it in an email?
Yes.
Okay, do we have a motion to accept the treasurer's
So
report?
moved.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, any questions? All in favor? Unanimous. Okay, no personnel, consent agenda. We all have a,
It's on the back here.
it's on the back of our item. Basically, there's only one authorization here, nomination of Mr. Morrison, a maintenance individual recommended by Jerry Crow. We have a motion for the consent agenda
So moved.
We'll second it.
and a second. Any discussion on the item?
Yes.
Yes.
Ken, just to let board members know that in order to have the warrants go out in your regular schedule, you came in as authorized by the board to sign the warrants, but we would like board members to sign off tonight in addition.
Okay.
All in favor of the consent agenda? Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, educational matters, number 7, Catherine requested that we hold off on the A and B. Number 8, policies enclosed. Policy 5003, prevention of bullying of students by other students. Motion to adopt that policy.
I second it.
Do we have a second?
Yep.
Okay, we have a first, Claude, second, Marie.
Go
Any
ahead.
discussion?
Nope.
Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, unanimous. Okay, there's no old business. Committee reports, food service.
I don't know. who's on
I don't
it.
think we have a member.
They haven't had a.
You haven't had
meeting
one?
on that.
I can say that they're still working with the CDC and
Rick is the one that's doing it.
the Mount Anthony High School campus on the nutrition policy, so that's still in the works. And it's planned to be resolved at some point and brought to the policy committee for wellness and nutrition policy.
SVSU technology, Jackie?
It meets Thursday, and we need to find another representative. I can't be at 2 meetings at the same time.
When
Teachers
is it?
negotiations the same
When
time.
is it?
Thursdays.
Technology Thursdays at what, 3:30?
3:30 and our meeting starts at 4.
So it'll be the second Thursday.
Are you the only school board member there?
Yes.
Because it's usually you had mentioned with administrators and
I'm the only school board member
Is the
there.
Pownell representative come?
There was never a panel
Where's it
representative
held,
there.
Jackie?
Not the time,
Yeah,
huh?
Where's it held?
at central office.
Yeah, central
I'll
office.
try to see if I can't do it on Thursdays, so that's a better day for me.
It's only one time a month.
Month, yep, just gotta let me know when.
Okay,
would you just
yep, I
have
got it. Yep, Frank.
Mr. Barnes let Marie know when it is?
Yep.
Mhm.
Thank you. And any negotiation update, Jackie?
She has a question?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just had a quick question for you, Jackie, because I know you've been on the technology committee. Some time ago, I had come to the board about the use of the SBS, the teacher websites and the use of the web, and that some teachers had, some didn't, and about what should be on them. Did that move anywhere forward? I know that it was, you were talking very vehemently about, sort of looking at that and using it as a good communication tool, and I just didn't want.
They are still talking and they are still working on a
We're
new
still trying to fix
website
it.
that'll be very user-friendly from what I've seen. Elaine Hewitt has been working on it and what I have looked at it's remarkable. I'm not very good on it.
I'm excited.
So I'm hoping that this will happen.
And that'll be easier maybe for educators to access and
It'll
utilize
be-
across the board?
yes.
Okay.
And we have to, that's another thing, we have to make sure that our administrators and our teachers are using it. And so that may be a policy we'll have to develop. Thank you.
Okay,
Remember that, Marie, you can follow that up.
Yep.
okay, we did the chairs.
Into the teacher negotiation. I think we just need to note that Jackie is substituted for Ken on the board team for teacher negotiations, so Jackie's attending now.
No, Jackie is a representative from
Yes.
BSD.
Yeah, and we have met maybe
Yeah, 4.
4 times. We have not met with the teachers yet. They do have a team, and hopefully we'll be meeting soon. That's all I can tell you.
That's right.
Thank you. Tough one. Okay, superintendent's report, breakfast.
Yes, we had a very successful February 3rd breakfast with the legislature tours. We covered a number of bills and governance issues. That conversation continues in different venues. There was also a very successful legislative breakfast at UCS that many of us attended. And the emphasis there, among other issues, was, of course, the lack of community support in the mental health area for families and the lack of hospital beds for individuals who are trying to recover from addiction. I'm hoping the conversation will include the schools as it moves forward, because of course those students are in our schools that are affected either by birth by addiction of their mothers or by families who are dealing with substance abuse. So we're hoping that the conversation will widen to include families and students in the community to have additional support than what we can provide in the schools. And also, we've been meeting with superintendents regionally, have been meeting with legislators, and we have been talking about governance issues as well with them. A lot of different ideas are being shared now at the House Ed Committee in this week, so watch for news coming out about that. It's a very complex issue, as you know, especially having come out of our 153 Red Committee. We know very well the complexities here in this supervisory union. Also, we decided at the legislative breakfast that we would have one meeting in mid-March. That date has not been set. It'll either be the 10th or the 24th, and we'll have it posted as soon as we make that decision. The legislators are being inundated, and they're very responsible. They go wherever they can. They're highly visible in the Southwest region, and we've decided in discussion with them that we can reduce some of our meetings in order to allow them to continue their wide participation. So that's the legislative branches, Ken.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Did you go over the causes of the tax rates increase with the legislators?
We did at the regional superintendents and gave them this brochure. I'll be reissuing this brochure.
Can I have one of those brochures, please?
We're going to reissue it because we had more information on the tax rate amounts, so I'll be sending it up to them at the, in
Is this the
Montpelier.
same one we got?
They really have to know that
Is this the
because
one
of
we got
the,
now?
Well, Rick went over that and explained it to him, that the state's responsible for 12 out of 13.
Okay.
okay. They have to know that.
Yeah, I think the chart that we're showing with the state-based rate, the CLA, with all the school budgets is really going to help in educating people.
Yeah, but Rick did go over it with the legislators
Yes,
up
he
there.
did.
The reflection of the CLA and stuff.
He did. I also wanted to report on our timeline for next year's student projections, especially kindergarten. As you know, that this is every year as we look at our kindergarten distribution coming into the 3 school attendance areas with those that are moving on, we find that the capacity of our schools has to be considered, and we end up making adjustments. And hopefully at some point the board will be able to come up with a solution. You've talked about many, but we've had to move attendance lines for each of the schools. We no longer have No Child Left Behind status for monuments, so there is no school choice under No Child Left Behind. We've ended up splitting families sometimes, siblings between schools this year for the first time when we've tried to keep siblings together. We have some complicated transportation routes, trying to provide transportation to compelling interests that have compelling reasons that parents have asked for their particular child to go to a certain school. Some of those are still being approved. So we have a matter that we're really going to have you look at as a board. The reason I wanted to go over the timeline is that we already have 2 requests for Monument School from incoming kindergarten parents who do not live in the Monument District. And as you know, this year, when we had our kindergarten enrollments, we were maxed out before we could take any compelling reasons or any issues up for changing an attendance area. And we're getting pressure now already in February for admittance to kindergarten at Monument School. So this is the timeline that we're using this year to anticipate our enrollment for next year and what the timelines will be for decision-making. And I just wanted to go over it with the board and let you know we're starting earlier this year. And that is because of the efforts of the early ed staff. We now register in our student management system all our 4-year-olds when they register for either the partner programs out in the community or our classrooms at Molly Stark. So we have a database this year that's much tighter, as you will, in acknowledging where all these students are than any year in the past. So we should be able to anticipate how many kindergarten rooms we need and where the tension lines are for the attendance areas.
How many do we
Can you
have
tell me
so
who
far?
Helen is?
Pardon?
Who's Helen?
She's one.
Helen Breeze is the administrative assistant to the early ed department.
Maurice?
Breeze, B-R-E-S-E-S-E. Thank you.
How many
So-
do we have?
Pardon?
How many do we have already that you feel that they
Oh
have?
gosh, it's over 100. I think we're near 100, just near 100 already registered.
How many do we have now in kindergarten?
It's in your packet, in your monthly report. So I can tell you, I should have it right here somewhere. Thank you.
It's on the website.
That I
It's
saw.
posted.
Oh,
I just
I'll
don't
get it.
have
I just don't
access.
print it.
I didn't bring
No problem.
that number.
But, Catherine, aren't we one district, 3 campuses?
We are 1 district, 3 campuses. That is correct.
And if Monument's full, we don't have to.
No, you don't.
I
And you
think
didn't last
Catherine
year.
was worried about people who live in the Monument District.
They should be allowed to have their kids
Right.
come here.
No, but I mean, if
before-
there's more kids who live in this district than we can accommodate.
Then they
Well,
might
that's-
have to move.
I think that's what she's meaning. You know, if you had 28 kids, do you want to put 28 in
No.
a kindergarten? You'd rather, you know.
We brought the, with the kindergarten enrollment with just attendance area students this year ended up to be 19. We'd like it to be 17 or 18. That room is maxed out at 19. I think what the difficulty is, and I understand this is difficult for parents, but some parents are feeling that they ought to be able to request and be approved into Monument. And I explained to them that that doesn't leave us room for move-ins. And if somebody moves into that attendance area, they're expecting to be able to go into the Monument School. And you're right, Jackie, we have over the years had to say to people, the capacity is met at Monument and move them to other schools, and we did this year as well. We have the difficulty of the No Child Left Behind school choice no longer offered because Monument is in its second year of school improvement. And they did improve this year, but it takes 2 years of improvement to lift that. And this was the last year of NCAP, so we don't know what's happening in the future. So I think it's difficult for parents, but I am going to share this timeline with these parents so they understand when the decisions will be made.
I think the key is don't make, no promises. Just screen all the kids, youngsters, and tell them where they're gonna work, and then when you sit down and make your decisions, then come out. But
So no
Other
waiting
people
list.
came to
Yeah, no
us and
waiting
asked
list.
us to move children, we didn't allow it, so that's
That's
two other
correct.
families, we cannot do that for one.
That's correct. You've been consistent in,
We can't. That's gonna
upholding
cause
the
trouble.
decisions.
We need to have a broader talk with the community about our building space need
You do.
and replacement of Maui Star, period. That's the issue.
Mhm.
I mean, we're not gonna build here. It's more than likely. We could add a little bit on to Benel, but
That was a nice design, but the economic times are such and the cost of construction and renovation has really deterred your efforts there. You have also had discussions about, possibly building on middle school land, using the fifth grade, replacing the fifth grade up to the middle school. You've had a wide number of options that you've talked about, and I think you're right, a broader discussion with the community will be needed in these economic times to decide what to do.
this is pretty detailed. Nice job.
Thank you, and thank you to Early Ed and the elementary principals for coming up with this timeline. Also, I wanted Ken to let you know that the attendance policy that's coming around for warning and approval, actually in its procedures, requires that we report to you attendance twice a year. Now, I've put this under FYI, but I did want to just speak to it briefly under my report. I'm going to pass this out and let you know that this is really the first collection of data this year on the first trimester, and this will present us with a lot of questions that we'll be asking and talking with our home liaisons about, because we are showing 66% of the students at, for example, Benel, with absences this year already. However, we're not seeing absences in a high number past 15, which would be our first alert for the trimester, which is 57 days, nor are we seeing very many, in fact, very few, that are already at 32 or more. So we'll be giving more reports based on looking at this data in more detail as we follow from this semester to
Do we
next
have a
semester.
truant officer?
We do have a truant officer.
Who's
We
that?
have a contract with the sheriff's office to provide that, and we have home liaisons in each of the schools
we're supposed to be
at
meeting with the
Molly
parents.
Stark and Bennington Elementary.
No, the home liaisons are supposed to be meeting with the parents
finding out why the children are targeted or why they're not coming to school and somehow work with them to get the kids to school.
But 15 days out of a tri-semester, which is roughly 60, that's a quarter of the days. Like every
That's
fourth
awful.
day the kids are absent, that's pretty hard to learn.
How many days are children allowed to miss in a school year and still go on to the next grade?
Well, we actually have that coming around for a change of procedure to have it more consistent with the middle school and the high school. So I'll report on that at the next meeting.
Okay.
And we'll go over that. Because that's a change. They had excused and unexcused. I'm sorry, here, Lori. The former procedures allowed excused and unexcused absences, and we're actually trying to be more in line with middle school and high school in the elementary schools as we look at that. So I think I'll add that to the agenda and
Yeah.
I can show it to you. But there are many questions that we would ask about this data. This is the first raw data to look at for this year. And I'm curious to pull it from last year and to see how it compares.
I think it's improved.
Yes. Maria's saying that she feels it's improved.
I know for a fact it has, because of what I do. I know that my kids are being more consistent,
Good, excellent.
so
Well, this-
I'm happy with what I have.
I'm not sure if the math is right, but if you take the number of, like, Bennington Elementary, 176 kids were absent in the first tri-semester, and 156 were tardies. You add them up, that's 332 youngsters by 57
Some are
days.
repeaters, don't.
But that's an average of 6.
So some
Between
are
tardy and
repeaters.
6, that's really not a lot of kids missing in a building, 6 kids
Mhm.
out of Bennington Elementary.
But if
Well,
you look at those,
average.
most of them are walkers.
Yeah, it would be, that's a good question to ask.
Yeah,
we can
What's-
tell you.
Below zero, I'm not sending my kid out
Yeah,
if they're a walker.
yeah.
Walk them to school
Well,
or drive them.
Thank you for this.
Okay, and
That's
we'll
true.
do more reporting on it.
And we've had a cold winter.
Yeah, it's just as cold on the bus.
Also, at Ben Al, we have the highest number of free and
I don't
reduced
want to hear
lunch.
that.
Yes,
And
that's true.
we know that follows suit with absenteeism and tardiness.
It can be a difficulty.
Personally, I'd rather walk by the cold bus.
You just want to take a quick second and go over that
Yes. She said she was going
Task
task
list,
list?
yes.
That's the last thing on the
So
agenda.
I'm going to email Chris the brochure that is ready for distribution. We are going to have 25 of these tomorrow at the town hall for people to pick up, and we'll try to have them in the schools as well.
And if any taxpayer wants one, they can't access it, they can call central office, leave their name and address, and it's, central will send a copy out to you.
We definitely will. I'm going to schedule a CAT TV broadcast on the budget before
Good.
the vote, March 5th.
Something live, right?
Yeah.
That's
March
up to-
4th, March 4th.
It's voting.
It's live if we can with a call-in. And then,
7 to 7, right?
right, we're going to talk with our attorney on the wording into the ballot articles to help voters understand what portion they're paying of MAU and CDC. Letter from the board members in the banner, maybe you could ask if anyone wants to draft that.
We
and
did
send
one
it
big
out.
one last year, all of us together.
Let's pull that out.
We did put one in there.
No, I wrote one and then,
We wrote a,
did you write one?
Yeah.
You and George?
Ken and
Yeah,
George.
So did
George,
I.
George, yeah, you're right.
And Marie,
I think I had one in there also,
yeah, you
Great,
did.
great, thank you.
We did, Marie.
because I actually saved that stuff.
I'm sure George and I get one in there.
Okay, good. And then we're just going to make sure that Frank knows that Marie will try to make the technology committee meetings for the
Yep.
Bennington board. And also just remind Frank that some progress updates on getting the website up and running that we want to report for everybody, the homepage, administrators and teachers. Broader talk with the community about facilities we'll put on the agenda, future agenda. And
Yeah.
I'll be doing more presentations with the principals on excused, unexcused absences, how we're changing that, and how we're using our home liaisons to improve attendance and tardiness.
Yeah, that discussion around schools, I'm sure Paul really wants to be on that, and I'm sure Jean will want to be on that.
Jean will definitely want to. Should he
I
be
know.
elected? He's running.
He isn't, there's no choice. He's elected. Unless
Also,
somebody doesn't everybody in the whole town doesn't cast a vote for him, he's elected.
Ken, I wanted to mention that you and I had been discussing with Steve Dale coming to do
Oh, yeah.
the first session of Effective Board, the work of Effective Boards, and he is suggesting that all of the Bennington board members, newly elected and returning board members, attend the regional first session on the effective work of school boards this March.
March 31st.
31st?
That's what you're.
Okay, yep, March 31st.
Well, this
so
is a
we-
regional deal, so it's not,
Yes, it's for this region.
do you know where it's gonna be held?
I don't, we'll find
I didn't
out
see that
right
as
now.
numbers.
I didn't either.
I didn't
But
see it.
we need to get as many board members, all of you, if we could, there on the
Yeah, just put
31st.
the 31st down in your booklet somewhere, so at least hold it
And
there.
I'll email it out tomorrow. And then he will come, or he will come to do
Right.
2 follow-ups at your regular meeting, so that you don't have an additional meeting. And that will be good to pull the new members in with the work that you've been doing over the last few years.
That's good.
It is good.
Okay, anybody have anything under others? No, seeing none, all motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Second,
Second it.
Jackie, second by Maria, all in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you for doing a good
Thank
job.
you.